welcome to the Golden Bowl pathway. We're going to start the desserts. So it should be about day 6 or 7 in this pathway. Make sure at the end, after you are finished making your loaf, that you decorate it, and I'll show you how to kind of package it, and then you take a picture or you show your teacher directly just on your phone, and they will initial. Okay, so that's part of your checklist. Before we get started, always have your hair up. If necessary, make sure your hands are clean. Wash your hands for about 20 to 30 seconds, and make sure you're either wearing a chef coat or an apron. Okay, so we're food code ready. If you notice, I have everything kind of set up in place. It's called mise en place. Everything is in its place. It's organized. It's clean. I have separated my liquids from my dries, which in baking is critical. If you want this chocolate chip banana loaf to turn out, just make sure you're kind of following along with the demo, because there are specifics that you kind of have to separate ahead of time just to make sure that it forms, it rises, and it bakes in time. So I went ahead and preheated my oven to about 350 degrees. We're going to grease these pans. So here's the deal with these pans. When you continue your Golden Bowl cafe journey, we're going to make various loaves for the holidays. We might make pumpkin bread, pumpkin loaf, pumpkin streusel, gingerbread loaf in December. So you'll be working with various sizes. This is a smaller size, okay? It'll be about $1 on the menu. This is a larger size. It'll be about $2, okay? Now your recipe will vary, and how much in a scoop, how many scoops you put will obviously vary too, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. I've greased these, okay? You can either use short beans of grease and just a clean paper towel, not your hands, just a clean paper towel all the way around, just like I did, okay? Or you could spray, okay, if you have spray. Alrighty, so my first step after preheating the oven and kind of spraying, getting ready, getting my pans ready, is to combine my sugar and butter. So here's my sugar, here's my butter. My butter is softened, okay? Softened does not mean melted. It means that you left it out at room temperature, so it is soft. Do not melt. You will kind of mess with the consistency of the bread. So never, if it says softened, it's softened. I like to cut my butter up in cubes. Okay, so again, I washed my hands, I'm ready to go. Plus we're baking this. I like to cut it up in cubes just so it mixes better, okay, than just sticking a whole stick of butter. I've measured out my sugar, 3/4 cup. Okay, so kind of let me wipe down my hands. So this is already measured for you, 3/4 cup. And then again, my liquids. So sugar is considered a wet ingredient in the baking world. It is completely separated from my flour. At no point am I adding flour to this yet. I'm going to turn this on, lock it first. Turn this on, and this is called the creaming method. Okay, so loaf bread is a quick bread. And my first step, okay, it varies with methods. This recipe calls for the creaming method. So if you're mixing butter and sugar together, it's called creaming, okay? So we're almost there. The consistency is perfect. Now I'm going to add my vanilla that I pre-measured, okay? Because vanilla is a liquid. I'm going to turn this off, okay? That's called the creaming method. And what I'm going to do now is add my eggs. Sometimes the recipe will say to add 1 egg at a time. This does not. So I whisked the eggs ahead of time. 2 eggs. I'm going to add that in here. And I'm going to turn on the KitchenAid again and allow it to do its job. Again, lock it. Turn it on to 1 to 2 speeds. The last thing, because we're making a banana loaf, is my mashed bananas. You want soft bananas. It calls for a cup, so we need about 2. I mash them with a pastry blender or a fork, okay? This side, everything again, clean as you go. And turn this off. And then again, lift, add my bananas. Scrape this, so your rubber scraper is your best friend at this point. You want to be gentle. Don't use a wooden spoon, use a rubber scraper. And then we're going to add our bananas. Okay, almost done. Again, this is a quick bread, so we're not sifting actually. Some recipes call to sift flour, sift your dry ingredients. We don't need to do that. Everything just says to add it all at once. So, as it's doing its job, we're measuring our flour. Your recipe calls for 1 1/2 all-purpose flour. Let me just explain something. When it says 1 1/2 and looking at the recipe, okay, this is just kind of a recap, and a very important recap. 1 1/2 does not mean just a half. okay? It means 1.5. Huge difference. Otherwise, your batter will be liquidy. So 1.5 cups of flour. I am adding ½ teaspoon of salt, and I'm adding ½ teaspoon of my leavening agent, which will allow my quick bread to rise, my baking soda. Okay, stir this up just a tad. Again, we don't need to sift. Some products ask to be sifted, makes our product a little bit fluffier. This does not. This is a quick bread. I'm gonna lift this up one last time, and then I'm gradually adding my flour. If you don't gradually add your flour, it's going to go all over the place. A, you're gonna have to clean up, and B, even that just kind of goes everywhere. Just a little bit longer. Really mash up your bananas. Don't just add banana chunks. Chocolate chips go in last. So if I added the flour all at once, again, it would have gone all over the place. So notice that I'm adding it gradually. So these are my dries. Part of the quick bread method is creaming your liquids and then adding your dries. To prevent this, you could also use a rubber scraper and mix it around ahead of time. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with my edges. So instead of using a wooden spoon or a spoon, again, I told you a rubber scraper is your best friend in the baking world. We want to scrape all the edges. And then this is a perfect consistency. I'm going to mix it up just a little bit longer, clean up my edges. As that's mixing, notice everything again is in its place. This is going to get thrown out. This is all going to get professionally cleaned. Okay, using the 3-sink sanitizer. Okay, this is done. My last step is adding my chocolate chips. I'm going to add my chocolate chips and mix it in by hand. You want to scrape all of this. This is extra batter, so you definitely want all of this in your loaf pan. Okay, just like that. It's sticky. It's the consistency we want. There. Now, if you notice, I'm going to add chocolate chips. Recipe calls for a cup, semi-sweet. This gets in added last. You don't want the KitchenAid to kind of squish your chocolate chips, so I like to just add a rubber scraper, and I kind of fold. So the technique is called folding in. So you fold. Rather than mushing it or kind of mashing them, you fold. Done. Okay, this is your batter. This is a quick bread loaf batter. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer them into our loaf pan so you can kind of see the difference. Portion scoop is key, okay, in the baking world, and when you're serving food to the public, you want it accurate. I love a portion scooper. This is going to ask for about 2 to 3, I would say, versus the little guy. You don't want to fill it all up all the way, so we're going to do 3 scoops. Okay, and you do not want to fill it up all the way. Why? Because it's going to rise. I'm going to add just a tad bit more. So 4 scoops. Okay. Again, you got to grease this pan. Okay, just like that. What I like to kind of do is mix it, just set it. And then this is going to probably call for 1 to 2. This calls for 4. And we'll put this on the recipe for you when we're prepping it for the public. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to bake this for about 30 minutes at 350 degrees, and then I will allow it to cool, and then I'll show you how to wrap it. Thank you. Welcome back. So our loaves came out of the oven, chocolate chip. Okay, you want them to cool so no condensation kind of forms, and we're going to be using the Giavicino bags. All right, for the $1, the small loaves, we're going to cut about 3 inches off. Otherwise, if you notice, this is the perfect size. With the small ones, it's too long. Okay, and when we're trying to put a sticker on, it just doesn't look good. So I cut about 3 inches off, and then this one goes long ways. We're going to flip this one that, okay, and then you would cut 3 inches off, so it just looks nice, okay? We're going to put a little thank you for your business sticker, just like that. And I would be wearing gloves, okay? This is a ready-to-eat food. You need to wear gloves because otherwise you're touching other people's food, okay? Notice that it's not dirty, it's not like sticky. And I did a little bow on top, okay? So same thing. I don't need to, again, this is a bigger loaf, about $2. I'm not going to cut this off because it's the right length. I'm going to put thank you for your business sticker. Notice the sticker isn't dirty, okay? My hands are clean. And then I'm going to wrap. Just like that. I would, before you cut, I would kind of see how much you need. And then you're going to form a pretty little bow, or try to form a bow. Sometimes we'll add a little note, or, you know, for fall, we could add a little leaf to it. And it looks like that. We're going to be selling this one for $2 and this one for $1. Thank you.